Today we'll be looking at OBS Studio software made by Open Broadcaster Software. This is free software that lets you stream to things like Twitch and YouTube. It's much better than Marillis Action, which I have downloaded and used, and for whatever reason is just buggy and doesn't work very well. So highly recommend you guys use OBS and OBS Studio as well. I did try Classic. I prefer Studio. There's more options with Studio. So if you guys have a decently fast machine and a decently fast internet speed, there's no reason you can't stream at 720p at 60 frames per second. It's just a matter of what settings to use. Okay, so let's dive into the first important test of whether or not you can stream on Twitch and YouTube. The first test, if you go to speedof.me, this is a website that will test your download and upload speed. I think it uses HTML5, so you can use it on a browser. If your upload speed is greater than 4.00 Mbps, then you should be able to stream. There's no technical reason you shouldn't be able to stream on Twitch and YouTube. Now, if you have something less than 4, then this really isn't the right video for you. You might go on YouTube or on the web and try to find a way to stream at a lower upload speed, but to be completely honest with you, if your stream doesn't look good, people aren't going to watch it anyway. So keep that in mind. All right. So yeah, if your upload speed is greater than 4.00 Mbps, then go ahead and go to OBS project.com download and download the Windows installer. Go ahead and install that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this other website, which is the Twitch Test Bandwidth Tool. And this link and all the other links we're talking about will be in the description, so don't try to remember any of it. You don't need to do that. So you're going to download and extract the Twitch Test Tool, and this is a way to determine what's the fastest server for you to send your encoded stream to. This is really important for Twitch, not as important for YouTube because YouTube just sort of figures out which one your fastest server is and just sort of auto assigns it to you based on where you live. Okay. So now that we've downloaded the OBS software and the Twitch test, let's go ahead and install it. So you would just right click, run as administrator, and I've already done that, so I'm not going to do it again. And you'll get the shortcut down here. You'll also, after you extract the Twitch test zip file, you'll get the exe here. All right. Okay, so let's jump into OBS. It should say 64-bit at the top. If it doesn't, look for the OBS 64.exe and make sure you run that instead. I'm sure most of you have 64-bit operating systems because really nobody uses 32-bit anymore. Okay. So we can look at this other stuff later, like scenes and sources, but I say we go right into the settings because that's what everybody is here for. Let's start with the General tab. So on the General tab, you can pick your theme of either default or dark. I prefer dark. You can do what you want. I would just leave the settings as they are for the most part. I don't think I changed anything, but feel free to change these sort of cosmetic settings as you like. They don't have any impact on your stream. So let's go to the Stream tab. This is the important part, I would say, in connecting your OBS Studio to your live stream on Twitch or YouTube. So to start with the service of Twitch, you would select Twitch. You would also click on Show All Services in case you wanted to see all the different services that you can stream to with OBS. Finally, it's going to be the server that we did the Twitch bandwidth test against. That's what we're going to be selecting. If you remember, my server with quality 100, RTT of 16 ms, which is the lowest, and a bandwidth score of 10,000 and plus, or 10,000 plus kbps is US East Ashburn, Virginia. So that's what I selected as my server. And that's what you should do too, except I'm sure you don't live where I do. So finally, we need to enter in our Twitch stream key. How do I get that? Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go out to your Twitch dashboard. Now when you go to your Twitch dashboard, you're going to find an option for your stream key. Go ahead and click Show Key, copy the key, and you're going to simply go back to OBS and paste it in. Click Apply and OK. All right, so now your stream is set up. It's linked to your stream key, and you should now be able to stream. I'm sure most of you have already gotten to this point. You're trying to figure out what settings to use. So let's go to Output. So I've started on the advanced output mode. Let's start with simple, just because I think most people start with the simple mode by default. So we'll go through each simple and advanced starting here. So I do a bit rate of 3,500. I suggest you start with 3,500 and see how it goes. If you have a NVIDIA card and it's fast, you will want to consider using an encoder of NVENC. There's pretty much two options here. There's the software encoder, which is going to use the processor on your PC, or there's the hardware encoder. And if you have an NVIDIA card, NVENC is that hardware encoder. If you have two video cards like I do, I have two 980 Ti's and SLI, strongly consider using the hardware encoder, because as you're playing the game, one of your video cards is doing most of the work of running the game, and the other one can do almost all of the work of running the stream and encoding it. So again, if you have an NVIDIA card, it's a fast GPU, consider using the hardware encoder. It should not only improve the quality of the game that you're playing, but also the quality of the stream that you're encoding and sending to Twitch. Okay? I decided to use an auto bit rate of 96. You can go up to 320, but you just need to keep in mind that you just want good enough audio that people can't tell that there's, any infidelity with it. And for me, I've noticed that 96 audio bit rate is perfectly fine. And by lowering it, it will lower the size of the file that I'm sending to Twitch, which then in turn gives me more frames per second and higher quality of my stream. So consider using 96 as your audio bit rate, but definitely don't go all the way up to 320, because I don't think people can tell a giant difference unless you're singing or something on your stream between the audio bitrate. Click on Enable Advanced Encoder Settings, and then you'll get to this encoder preset, and you're going to want to do high quality. Now, if you're seeing some weird performance issues when you're streaming, you might want to change it to default, or maybe high performance, or low latency high quality. I just go straight for high quality because my internet is fast enough, my GPUs can handle it. There's really no reason. And my processor is fast enough too, an i7 2600K Sandy Bridge. I don't do custom encoder settings. You can absolutely go out there and Google some hardware encoding custom settings for NVIDIA's NVENC. Personally, I didn't need to do it, so why put forth the effort? So that's pretty much it for your streaming on the simple output. You can also go to Advanced and click on the Streaming tab, and you're going to see a lot of the same settings. It does go a little bit deeper, though. Definitely make sure that the Rescale output is not checked. The output that you're going to scale it to for 720p, you're going to do that on the Video tab. You're not going to do it on the Output tab. You don't want to mess with your video twice. You want to encode it at 720p. You don't want to rescale it twice. So definitely don't click Rescale Output at the 720p resolution of 1280 by 720. Okay, so the rate control, use CBR. Bit rate, again, 3500. 2 for your keyframe interval. Preset high quality again. Profile, leave it on main. There's a couple options there, but there really isn't a giant difference between any of them. Level, leave it at auto. definitely click Use to Pass Encoding. Leave your GPU values alone unless you know exactly which GPU you want to be handling the streaming. I recommend not messing with it just because the GPU for an SLI could be either 0 or 1, and you might just get confused by it. So leave it as it is, and then by frames leave that as it is too. I'm not going to be going into recording because this is mainly about streaming, not recording. But if you were interested in that, just let me know and I could do a video on recording locally at 1080p 60 frames per second. So we'll go to audio. And again, my sample rate is the lowest of the two because I'm trying to reduce my audio file size to give my video file size more fidelity or make it look better. I do 44.1 kHz. Channels, stereo, default. I do select my my microphone, which is the Sennheiser. But I leave everything else, like the desktop audio devices, as default. So I want to make sure that it's got my microphone correct, but I leave everything else as default. Okay? So on the video tab, this is pretty important. You want to make sure that your base canvas resolution, that's the the resolution you play the game at. For me, it's 1080p. A lot of people game at 4K. So just make sure that your base resolution that you game at, that means the game that you launched, the resolution that it's playing at is used here. And then your scaled resolution, this is what I was talking about earlier. So this is what's going to be presented on Twitch or YouTube. Use the 720p resolution, which is 1280 by 720. Okay. You're going to want to use the highest sharpening, which is 32 samples Langsaus or something like that. So use that, and then for your FPS, set it to 60. I also recommend you disable Aero. So for Windows 7 and probably Windows 10, if you disable Aero, it gives OBS and your entire system a little bit more memory to work with. So it potentially can improve the quality of not only the game you're playing, but the game you're encoding and streaming. So keep in mind, if you have any lag while you're playing the game, so if you're playing like Rainbow Six Siege or you're playing Rocket League or whatever, Battlefield, and you're lagging while you're playing the game, the stream is going to be so much worse. So you want to make sure that the game runs flawlessly while you're playing it. And that's how you get a high quality stream. And really the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to use the NVENC because it puts the load on the video card instead of your processor. Okay, so hotkeys, I just use F1, F2 for start and stop stream. There's tons of other options here. And definitely look into them if you're interested, especially mute and unmute. I don't use that, but these are all just hotkeys. In advanced, I do set it to a high process priority. So this is really no different than, it's just a Windows operating system thing. If you went into a process and you right click and you went to set priority high, it's basically the same thing. Some people say that it doesn't do anything. It does. It does what Windows does when you set a priority to a process, but it may not be noticeable to you. I just do it anyway. Make sure it's set to Direct3D 11, color format NV12, do a 709 color space, and do a full color range. No reason to cheap out on the color. All right, so that's pretty much what I would recommend you do if you have a powerful GPU, and if you're streaming to Twitch. If you were streaming to YouTube, not sure if I already did this, but you just select YouTube. You'll notice it has a primary ingest server, so they do all the figuring out for you in terms of what's the fastest server, and you would just go to your live dashboard. live streaming, scroll down, and you just copy that key, go back to OBS, paste it in there, hit apply, OK. And all the other settings are identical. So really the only thing you're changing for YouTube or Twitch is that stream key and potentially the server. So we'll switch back over to Twitch. Make sure that we go back to our US East, Ashburn, Virginia. Okay, so for you guys that are interested in the software encoding, let's take a look at this. So for people that have really good processors, like a brand new i7, I think it's 6770, I can't remember exactly, might be a Skylake i7 chip set, I'm not sure. But let's say you have a brand new i7 and you want to try the software encoding, because why not? I mean, that it's a powerhouse chip. Why not just use the processor to encode the video? And in the past, software encoding has been the best option. It has given you the highest quality image. But the GPU or graphics card encoding, NVENC, has caught up, and really the quality is comparable in my opinion. Plus, it doesn't use your processor while you're playing the game like software encoding does. Anyway, we'll go over these steps for software encoding. We'll start with simple, and I'm going to recommend you do 3500, just because it's the best bitrate you can use without being a Twitch partner, and you might as well start off with that. But just for you folks out there that do have mobile followers, people that use smartphones or tablets to watch your Twitch, it is recommended that you drop your bitrate down to 2500 for streaming. That way, people that have slower internet connection speeds can watch your stream. So just keep that in mind. You may want to start off with 2500 in case people are buffering your videos, but personally, most of my users have really fast internet and are watching my Twitch on their Steam PCs. So it's up to you. It's a judgment call. But I'm going to show you 3500 because it's the best quality you can get. Audio bitrate's 96. Check the enable advanced encoder settings just like last time, and leave the custom encoder settings alone. Here the preset, this is pretty much determining how much PC processor speed to use. So if you use ultra fast at the top of the list, it's going to use the least amount of your processor to render the video. If you go down a notch, it's going to use even more. Very fast uses even more. Faster uses even more. And at the very bottom, it's probably going to slow down. If you use slower, it's probably going to slow down your stream to a choppy experience, and even the game you're playing will be choppy because it's using the chipset, the processor on your computer to render the video at its best quality, which usually kind of destroys both your stream and your gameplay. So I would recommend you start off with ultra fast and go down a notch and stream again, and go down a notch and stream again, and go down a notch and stream again, and just find that setting that's perfect for you where you're playing the game, you don't even notice you're streaming, and you look at your stream and the quality is also good. Once you get to that notch, and it may be the faster notch or the fast notch, once you get to that notch where you stream and it's lagging in the game, in the game itself, just go ahead and stop the stream and go back up to like the notch above. Because if you're lagging in the game you're playing, it's going to really lag in the stream. So you're going to want the happy medium of best quality and best performance. Okay? So we'll click apply here, and then we'll go to advanced. Pretty much the same thing as the other settings we saw, except you're going to do the software encoder. And CBR is going to be your rate control. You want your bit rate to be the exact same as in the simple tab. Don't use the custom buffer size, just because I've seen a lot of videos out there on the web where people are saying this may not even do anything, or they say when you do use it, set it to the same thing as the bit rate. So it doesn't seem to make a difference. Or if it does, you're just setting it to the bit rate anyway, so why even check the setting? So I would leave that alone. Your keyframe interval is going to be 2, just like with just like with the hardware encoding. And again, your preset is going to match whatever you have in the simple output mode. Profile, make sure it's set to main. Tune, just leave it to none. Don't check the variable rate, and I wouldn't put anything here in the options, but you can obviously go out there and Google some software encoding options and see if they make sense for you. Okay, so just one more thing to bring up, just to reiterate, when you're using software encoding, it's going to be using your processors. So this is Windows Task Manager. Here are all your cores and your CPU usage. If you're using the X264 encoder software encoding, your CPU usage is going to go up. Now you can see this here in Windows. You can also see it here in OBS at the bottom right hand corner. The CPU usage is 3.5% right now, but keep in mind I'm recording with Bandicam. So when you use NVENC, it's not going to use any of your CPU usage for the most part to encode. It's going to use your graphics card to encode. So you're not going to have a performance hit in the CPU department at all. So when you're playing a game like Fallout 4, which uses a lot of processor speed to run the game, you might notice that you get better performance out of the hardware graphics card encoder over the software encoder. But you might not. You may have a fast enough processor where it doesn't matter. You can run everything really, really fast and maybe even go down to the faster setting. But you're just going to have to play with it. If you go the software encoding route, be fully prepared for having to tweak this setting depending on what game you're playing. Like you may play Rainbow Six and very fast is great. Then you may play Fallout 4 and it's not. You have to go up to super fast. It's because you're using your system resources, your main system resources of your processor to encode. Okay? All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. I think we already went over this and this as well. So we'll back out now and we'll talk about scenes. So you just right-click, add, give it a name. I named it Twitch, even though I use both Twitch and YouTube within this scene. And here you're going to have different sources. And it looks like I already created this image source, so we'll just remove this. If you click on the eye, it'll show your different media options here. Now I've linked my YouTube channel in here, but I can hide it. I've also got my icon you see in the upper left hand corner. I can hide that too. If it's at the top of the list, it's going to show above everything else. So my game capture will be behind the icon. Here I've got Fallout 4 pre-configured. If I go to properties, you can see that the window is right now pointing to Rainbow Six. But when you run the game, it will appear, the executable will appear here. And then you would just set it to that executable, hit OK. You probably want to check multi-adapter compatibility and definitely want to do the force scaling. This will just give you an idea of what it's going to look like up here. Monitor, this will show you the entire monitor. I definitely leave that as an option for me, but wouldn't ever stream my monitor. Okay. I'll show you how to add these different sources. Right-click, add. We'll start with the image. As you can see, I already have my StimWalt Studios icon in the upper left, but we'll just do an image test just to show you how this is done. I'll click OK. It'll give me a prompt to browse out to an image, and let's just grab, scroll down here, we'll grab the Fallout Vault Boy. Click Open and OK. All right, so now I have an image that will appear in my stream, even if I'm not actively streaming a game capture, it's going to show the Fallout Boy up here in the upper right hand corner. Now I can rename this to Fallout Boy image. Okay, and then if I move this up or down, it'll give it sort of priority over the other things. If I was to move it, like let's say I enable my YouTube and I move my YouTube above the Fallout Boy image, so we'll click this and move it above, you'll notice how the Fallout Boy image then disappeared. Well, sort of. But you get the idea. It gives it priority, and the things on the top of the list will be on top of the other items in the list. So we'll go ahead and remove the Fallout Boy. We'll also add a display capture. So you see that my monitor is already currently there. So you might want to name it like, monitor display. Okay. Then you hit OK, and it does exactly that. It'll give you an option if you have multiple displays. I currently don't, but if you have like 3 different monitors, you can pick which display you want to appear as part of the capture, and usually you're going to want to select multi-adapter compatibility. Okay, and again, you can hide it, and you can set its priority where it will display under or over different items in your sources list. So we'll go ahead and delete that. It is important to have monitor as an option, just so you can test things, but you wouldn't actually want to stream that. Okay, right click, add. Now we're going to do something a little different. I believe it is browser source, and we'll just call it browser source for now. You see how I have my YouTube there. So I'll hit OK, and what this does is it gives you the option of putting in a URL. So you might go out to your YouTube and just copy your YouTube link, throw it in there. Let's see. So we'll go to my existing one. So we'll go here, go to properties. You see how I have my video link. So it goes out to my YouTube and my videos, and there it will display. You can set the width and height and even the FPS if you like. I usually just leave it at 30. There's no real reason to pump it up to 60 unless you want people to have 60 frames per second looking at a page that won't really change. Okay. So yeah, we'll just remove this browser source, but it's kind of a cool thing to do to, let's say I was to just start my stream right now. What they would see is they would see my YouTube channel and they would see my icon, but I may not have my actual game ready yet. So this would be streaming, and it's kind of self-promotion, but people would see, oh, well, I could go here and check out these videos. Meanwhile, I'm going down here and I'm launching a game. And just as a test, we'll do Rocket League. That's a very popular game. I'm sure you guys have played that. And so what I'm doing is right now I am streaming. They do see this page, but I haven't actually launched Rocket League yet. So here's Rocket League. I'm going to just get to the start screen, and I'm going to Alt-Tab out. All right, so now Rocket League is displaying. It is running. I can go into my video sort, my game capture, which, by the way, it's add game capture. You see how I have the Fallout already. So right-click, go to Properties. Now, if I go to the Window dropdown, I will see that Rocket League is now an option. Okay, the mode is definitely going to be capture specific window. Don't leave it as default because it'll do your full screen application, or I've found that if you do the mode capture specific window, it's much better. Again, multi-adapter, force your scaling, and then hit OK. So now if I was to turn the Fallout video on and then give it a higher priority, we'll move it up 1. Okay. Now what's going to happen is if I go into Rocket League and then I Alt-Tab out, you'll see that it's now showing the image. Okay. So this is just an example of how you might use sources to stream. Like I can hide this if I wanted to. So my game is now ready, but I'm not in the game yet. So just something to keep in mind if you want to make your stream more interactive. You can display your YouTube channel, your icons, have the game running and ready, and then once you're actually ready to play the game, unhide it, jump into the game, and then your stream should now be ready to go. I'll tab out really quickly. I haven't actually started streaming yet. So what I would have to do is hit F1 and it would start the stream immediately. So what I might do is hide the game and start the stream by hitting F1. Okay? And so now I'm streaming, and if I was to go up here to my channel, I should be able to see my stream starting. And I'll just turn the volume off, because that would be really annoying to have that echo. Okay, we'll just give it a second. Might refresh it. Okay, and you see I'm now actively streaming my YouTube channel. So if I go back here and I then hide YouTube, enable Fallout 4, if you give it a few seconds, this should then switch over to the game. And I'll just go into Rocket League. And we will do, maybe we'll go to the find match part, jump back over to the stream, refresh, and see if we can see what I just did. Yep, and you see? And so I was able to show what I was doing there, going into Rocket League and clicking a few windows. Okay, so then if I just hit F2, it's going to stop streaming. And you see that I've now stopped streaming. So this is just something for you to keep in mind, like ways that you can set up sources to display certain things to start the stream without actually maybe showing the game immediately. It gives you some time to set up. And you can hide and show different things while you're streaming, and prep the gameplay before you actually start the game.